مساء الخير مساء فطوركم مرحبا بكم معنا à ce webinaire exceptionnel de Sahratech, un programme ramadanais qui a pour objectif d'offrir un canal de communication aux experts nationaux et internationaux et vulgariser les concepts essentiels et les sujets d'actualité. Je prends un moment pour remercier l'équipe brillante de Algeria Startup Challenge pour son travail pertinent et ses idées exceptionnelles. Ce soir, je suis particulièrement émue dans la mesure où nous avons la grande chance et le privilège de recevoir une personnalité et pas des moindres. Une personnalité qui représente pour moi, comme beaucoup d'entre vous j'imagine, un modèle d'inspiration. Dans la vie, il nous arrive de nous sentir mal, des ups and downs, des hésitations, et durant ces moments de doute, nous cherchons souvent une source de réconfort et d'espoir. Et pour des millions de personnes dans le monde, notre invité de ce soir représente cette lumière d'espoir. J'ai à titre personnel eu l'occasion de l'écouter en qualité de fan et le hasard de la vie a fait qu'aujourd'hui, je travaille directement en collaboration avec lui. Et ce que je vis au quotidien à travers cette collaboration va au-delà de ce qu'on peut vivre à travers ses livres et conférences. Donc, si vous êtes là, vous savez que nous avons ce soir l'immense privilège de recevoir the one and only Brian Tracy. Hello, Brian. How are you doing?
Hello, Huda.
Well, Brian, we are delighted to have you tonight with us. I'm just going to introduce you and talk about your brilliant career and then get back to you. Thank you. Pour ceux qui l'ignorent, Brian Tracy a débuté dans la vie avec peu d'avantages. Peu d'avantages, sauf celui d'avoir un esprit curieux. Brian Tracy est le chairman and CEO de Brian Tracy International, une société spécialisée dans la formation et le développement des individus et des organisations. Brian est le speaker le plus écouté aux USA et dans le monde. Il a consulté pour plus de 1000 entreprises et adressé plus de 5 millions de personnes en 5000 séminaires à travers les États-Unis, le Canada et 70 autres pays à travers le monde. Il a écrit et parlé pendant 30 ans dans les domaines de l'économie, l'histoire, les affaires, la philosophie et la psychologie. Il est l'auteur de plus de 45 livres best-sellers tels que Psychology of Achievement and Eat a Frog, qui ont été traduits en plus de 20 langues. Pour dire que c'est quasiment 50 ans de carrière qui vous contemple. Pour la petite histoire, nous sommes doublement privilégiés de l'avoir ce soir avec nous, car il m'a été donné d'apprendre que chacun de ses discours coûte des dizaines, voire des centaines de milliers de dollars. Il a eu l'immense gentillesse de s'adresser à nous gratuitement. Certains d'entre vous ignorent que Brian a visité l'Algérie en 1965. Brian, welcome again. Thank you so much. We are delighted and honored to have you with us. And on behalf of all our audience in Algeria, I want to express my gratitude for having accepted our invitation. And before starting your presentation, I was just mentioning in French that the fact that you know Algeria already. So could you tell us briefly how and why? Thank you.
Yes, well, in 1965, two friends of mine and I decided that we would go and see the world. And we traveled from Vancouver, Canada, all the way across Canada and across the Atlantic, and then across Europe to Morocco, and then across Morocco to Algeria. And then we traveled across Algeria, across the Sahara Desert, and down into Niger and other countries. So we spent a lot of time in Algeria and learned a lot about life. Our vehicle, our Land Rover, broke down, and if we had not been able to repair it, we would have died in the Sahara. We had no idea the Sahara was 800 kilometers of nothing, and it was an amazing experience, and so I never forgot it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. So I think now we are ready to go.
Okay.
So, shall we start?
Of course.
Thank you. So, Brian, we are all ears now.
So you would like me to start?
Yes, please.
And what would you like me to talk about? Because we can talk about many different things.
Well, it would be great to have some insights from your business survival setting, as we talked already. And you know, you are Brian Tracy. You can talk about whatever you want.
Yes. Well, I began speaking to businesses about 35 years ago, and I have now spoken to more than 1,000 large businesses, and like IBM and General Motors and big companies. And I've also spoken to more than 10,000 small and medium-sized businesses in more than 5,000 speeches and seminars. And some years ago, I decided to put all of this information together in a system, which we call the focal point system. And we then took the system and we spent 7 years perfecting it and developing it and writing it out and putting it together. And then we began to practice it with companies. And we had a guarantee that if you use the focal point system, you will double your income, your sales, and your profits within 1 year. And so we began teaching the system with coaching, and everyone who worked with us doubled and tripled their income within 12 months. Some of them within 30 days, because we had found that there are certain things that successful businesses do over and over again that enable them to succeed in any market, in any circumstances, and with almost any product or service. And so I've written 6 books and spoken to millions of people. And so today we will talk about some of the things that we teach. And basically, we teach a system that enables a new business owner or an established business owner to become far more successful, to increase sales and profitability far faster than if you do not have the system. It's interesting, when I began traveling, I learned karate. So I took karate lessons for 10 years. And in karate, they teach a system. And you can get into fights, as some people do when they're younger. But with karate, you learn a system that takes about 3 to 5 years. And then you become very, very effective and proficient in self-defense. Well, in business, you need a system as well. Most people, 90% of people, start a business without really knowing or understanding how a business works. For example, about 5 years ago, I began to teach business model reinvention. Now, a business model are all the things that you do in a business, and there are basically 10 things. And these are the things that you do to generate profits. And the 10 factors which have been identified over the years are each essential. And if you are missing one of the 10 factors, your business will not succeed. If you are missing 2 or 3, your business will struggle all the time. And there are 10 factors, and they are very much like the ingredients in a recipe. If you have a recipe with 10 ingredients, you must have all 10 ingredients, and you must have them in the right quantities, and you must mix them in the right way to produce a dish in the kitchen. Well, it's the same thing with running a business. You must have all 10 parts of the business model. Now, for every business model, the combination is different. There are 55 different business models, 55. And most people start off with a business model that is popular at the time, or they learn it from someone else, or they just start it accidentally. And the business models change as the market outside changes, just like the weather changes. And if the weather changes, then you must change the way you dress and the way you prepare. So 80% of companies today are working with the wrong business model. In other words, they have a business model and they are doing certain things, but it's the wrong model. And over time, the business model will change. For example, the heart of successful business is marketing. And in order for you to survive, you have to have a good marketing system and a good advertising system and sales system, a method to attract customers and to convert those customers or convert them into buying customers, paying customers. However, whatever marketing system you have will become obsolete and it will stop working. So if you are fortunate, you can start off with a business model, marketing system that works for your business to attract customers, and it will work for a while, but then outside the market will change and your business model will stop working and your sales will go down and your profits will go down. And unless you change your business model on a regular basis, you will always be struggling to survive. You've heard of the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule says that 20% of businesses earn 80% of the profits in every industry. That means that 80% of the businesses only earn 20% of the profits. Well, the average income of businesses in the top 20%, average income is 16 times the average income of businesses in the bottom 80%. And it's the same with individuals. 20% of people in Algeria earn 80% of the income paid in Algeria, and 80% earn only 20%. So your job is to be in the top 20% in terms of sales and profitability. How do you get into the top 20% in terms of sales and profitability? Well, you find out what the most successful companies in your industry are doing, and you do the same thing. And that sounds so simple, but nobody does it. Is most people are every day they are operating differently and they are trying different things and they are experimenting, but they don't have a proven system. So what I did is I put together the focal point system. The focal point system, over a period of 7 years, we worked with more than 1,000 small and medium-sized businesses, and we took from all of our work the ideas and methods that were the most successful for every business in growing their sales and profitability. And so today, in the time that we have, I will share with you some ideas. Remember, there are thousands of books and articles, and you can go to university for 7 or 8 years to get an advanced degree in business. But I'll give you some very simple ideas, and these are the most important of all. And so we always start off, number one, with your product. What is your product? What do you sell? And the fact is that every product is a solution to a problem that the customer has. Every product is a way to achieve a goal that the customer has. Every product is a way to give the customer a benefit that they want and which is important to them. So customers, the first rule, customers do not buy what you sell. They only buy the change that takes place in their lives. So I tell my audiences, and I have trained more than 2 million salespeople all over the world in 84 countries, that customers don't buy what your product is. They only buy what your product does to change their lives or their work in some way. So one of the very best exercises you can do is imagine that you are explaining your business to a 6-year-old child. And the 6-year-old child says, "What do you do?" And you say, "Well, I sell this product or service." And you must make the description so simple and clear that a 6-year-old child could understand it and explain it to another 6-year-old child. 80% of people, according to the studies at Harvard University, 80% of business owners cannot explain their business to a 6-year-old child. And that means that they can't explain it to an adult customer either. So we start off with, what do you sell? Exactly. What is the change that takes place? And of course, the change that takes place when somebody uses your product or service must be far greater in value than the amount you charge for your product or service. And so, what exactly is it? And you ask, my product is this. This is the change that takes place. Good. Then the second question that you ask, number one, is the product. You must be clear about the product. And you must realize that over time, with changes in technology, with changes in the coronavirus, is the product will have to change as well. People's tastes and desires are all changing continually, and what people want to buy this year is not what people will want to buy next year and the year after. So the market is constantly changing. So you have to ask, first of all, what is my product? The second question is, who is my customer? Who is my customer exactly? And you examine your customers and you say, what is the average age of my customer, my ideal customer? Imagine your 6-year-old child says, who buys your product? And you have to explain to the 6-year-old child exactly the person who buys your product. And you say, well, we sell to a person like this, of this age, and this sex, and this average income, and this average education, and this type of job or work. And you can describe your perfect customer in terms of what they call the demographics, basically a description of the lifestyle characteristics of your customer. Then there's a second part, which is even more important, and it's called the psychographics, is how the customer, your customer, thinks. What are their goals? What are their ambitions? What are their hopes? What are their fears? What is it that they want to do with their lives? And this is the most important part of business, is satisfying the psychological needs that a person has. So those are the two major factors in defining your customer: your demographics, the external characteristics, and which you can find out by asking, how old are you, and where do you live, and how much money do you earn, and how much education do you have, and so on. And then you can find out by asking questions and observing the internal or psychological characteristics of your ideal customer. And then the third question, and this is sort of a fun question, but a friend of mine teaches at a business university, and he was once asked by his students, one of his students, is, what are the most important factors that I will have to consider in business when I leave the university? And he said there are 3 critical factors in business, and they are, first of all, your competition, and second of all, your competition, and third of all, your competition. So everything is competition. So you start off, this is my product, this is what I do for a customer, and second of all, this is the customer that I do it for, and third of all, this is my competition. So the 6-year-old child says, does anybody else sell the same product or benefit that you do? And you say, yes, there are other individuals or companies that sell the same product. And so your 6-year-old child says, well, why will somebody buy your product rather than the product of the other person? And this is the heart of business. It's the core of business. Your ability to compete is more important than anything else. And I put together some special notes today because I have developed 2 and 3 day programs that I teach all over the world that get standing ovations and transform businesses. But the most important of all, 90% of your success comes from having a great product or service in comparison with your competition. 90% of your success will be determined by the quality of the product you sell. And how do you determine the quality of the product you sell? Well, it is so simple, it is almost embarrassing. But basically, it's if a person buys your product and uses your product, what do they say? And so your success is determined by how many customers say these words. This is a great product. This is a great service. This is a great store. This is a great company. In other words, they say to other people that you have a great company. So what do people say after they buy your product or service, after they use your product or service? Peter Drucker, the business expert, had a very interesting observation. He said that you have 3 goals in business. The first goal in business is to make the first sale to the new customer. And this is very difficult. When a person starts a new business, they are amazed at how hard it is to sell your product for the first time, to make the first sale. And so one of the things that we teach in our coaching program is the importance of excellent sales skills. And as I said, I have trained more salespeople than anyone else in the world, and I have written books, and I've produced the best-selling audio learning programs on sales in the world as well, because without the ability to sell, you can have the best product in the world and your business will fail. Your business will struggle and fail. So the first thing you need to do in business is make the first sale to a new customer. The second thing you have to do in business, and I call this the golden triangle, the 3 points. The second thing you have to do is to sell to that customer again, because the customer said, this is a great product. I like this product. This product is good, and I want to buy it again. So we say, what is the most important sale in business? And the most important sale is always the second sale, because you can get the first sale with discounts and bonuses and benefits and all kinds of things. But the second sale is the proof that what you said to get the first sale was true. In fact, there's a beautiful description of branding in business. And we say branding is the promises that you make and the promises that you keep. Now, the promises that you make are the promises of the benefits that the customer will enjoy if they buy from you. If they give you their money and you give them your product or service, you have to make some promises. You have to say, if you buy from me, this is what will happen, and this is what will make you happy, and this is what will make you happier than if you bought from my competition. So the person buys from you based on your promises. So a good question you have to ask is, what promises do you make to get the customer to buy from you for the first time? Then there are the promises you keep. This is when you actually do what you said you would do, and the customer actually receives the benefits that you promised they would receive if they bought from you. So this is the picture that your customer has in their mind: the promises you made and the promises you keep. And this is the heart of your business. So quality is determined by what percentage of the time do you keep your promises. A customer always has 3 choices. Choice number 1 is they can buy from you. They can buy a product or service from you. to achieve a benefit that they want for themselves or their family or their company. They can buy from your competition, or they can buy nothing at all. The biggest single market is what is called the non-customer, the person who buys nothing at all. That person is the biggest potential market, and it's maybe 50, 60% of the total market are people who are not buying anything. And so they are waiting for you to come and persuade them to buy from you. And so sometimes we ask a series of questions when we work with our clients. And the first question we ask is, what exactly do you sell? And define it in terms of the product, what your product or service does to change or improve the life or work of your customer. You always sell a result or a benefit. If I were to ask you this question, what is the problem that your customer has that your product can solve for your customer? That's the most important question of all. Or what is the goal that your customer has that your product can help them to achieve? So much so that they're willing to pay you the price that you charge. So another question you ask is, what does the customer consider value and is willing to pay for it? What does the customer really want? Now, what we have found is that you can show the customer many benefits of buying your product, but customers always buy your product because of one special benefit. It's not always the same benefit for every customer, but you have to find out what is the most important benefit that the customer wants from my product. And then you have to persuade them and convince them that if they buy from you, they will get that benefit. This is the key to successful selling. By the way, of all the benefits that you sell, there are basically 7 that we have discovered, and the price is always the last consideration in buying a product. Because customers want to get everything they can at the lowest possible price, they always ask about the price. And so many business people think that customers care about price more than anything else. No, what they care about is not paying more than they need to for your product or service. That's why they ask about price, because in the past, people have charged them too much. They could have got the product at a lower price. And so therefore they say, well, what about the price and how much does it cost and can I get it for a lower price? But they are not concerned about the price. I had a client a couple of years ago, and he wanted me to come in and speak to his company. He had a national company, and he wanted me to come in and speak to the company. They were doing about $50 million in sales each year. And I said to them, I said, what are the biggest obstacles to growing your company? And he said, well, our customers are always complaining about the price. And I said, well, did you know that price is never the reason for buying a product or service? He said that he had a high quality product. They had a form of electric garage openers for businesses. It was a high quality product. It was well made, it worked beautifully, and it lasted for 10 years without any mechanical problems, and it was expensive. He said, so we have an expensive product, and the customers ask us about price all the time, and we don't know what to say because it's not possible to offer. It's not possible to offer. It's not possible, excuse me, to offer a product like ours without charging a high price. I said, well, none of your customers buy because of the price. And he said, no, you don't understand. I'm telling you that the biggest problem we have is the price, because the customers are always asking about the price. I said, no, your customers don't buy because of your price. And we had an argument. And I was trying to convince him to hire me to speak at their annual meeting. And we started to argue. I said, look, let's do something. You have someone call back your last 10 customers, do a market research survey. You call back your last 10 customers and you ask them, why did you buy our product? You could have purchased our product from many different companies in the market. What was the one reason that you decided to buy from us? Just go and ask that question. And by the way, this is the greatest marketing question you can ask. Many companies have transformed their business by asking this question. And he was amazed. He did this over the next day or two. And then I called him and spoke to him again. And he said, not one customer said the reason they bought was the price. It was the quality, it was the delivery, it was the service, it was the attractiveness of the product, it was the design, it was everything, but it was never the price. He was just amazed because he had thought that price was everything. No, it's how well you satisfy the customer's real desires. So I always give this recommendation. I say, if you want to know where to focus in your business, and in business, by the way, two of the most important words are focus and concentration. Focus and concentration. My favorite word in business is the word clarity. Is you must be absolutely clear about exactly what you are doing and exactly who you are doing it for. You must be clear about the complete sales process. Clarity is the reason why you make sales, and lack of clarity, we say fuzzy understanding. In other words, unclear understanding is the reason why people don't buy. The number one reason is they just don't understand clearly why they should buy your product. What is the benefits, and are the benefits much greater than the cost? Well, anyway, if you want to do something intelligent, and I do this with my clients, I say call back the last 10 customers who bought from you and just ask them, what was the one reason that you decided to buy from us rather than from our competition? And there's always one reason. Customers, of course, want all the benefits that your product or service offers, but there's one that is the main reason that they buy your product rather than someone else. Now, you then take this piece of information, and when you talk to a new prospective customer in sales, you say, we've spoken to many of our happy customers, and we've asked them why they bought our product or service. And the three most important reasons that they give us are this reason, and this reason, and this reason. Would any of these reasons apply to you and your situation? In other words, are these the benefits or results that you want from a product? And every customer will say, well, number two, that's the most important thing for me, or number one, or number three. They'll always say, one of those three reasons is what I want too. Please tell me more about that benefit for me and my family, or me and my business. So these sales techniques are very powerful. They're very simple. They're very honest. So we ask, what is your product, and who is your customer, and who is your competition, and why did they buy from your competition? Now, another question is, which of your products or services sell the most easily and are the most popular? This is very important. Your customers will lead you and they guide you in how you develop your business. And what you do is you listen to your customers and ask them, and ask them why they buy from you, and then focus on becoming better and better and better at giving your customers what they want the most. So I told you about the golden triangle. Number one is to make the first sale. Number two is to make the second sale by making this customer so happy that they bought from you the first time. That after they bought from you, they said, this is a great product. This is a really excellent product. It's like you go to a restaurant and the food and the service is really excellent. And afterwards you say to the person you went with, that was a great restaurant. And they say, yes, we're going to come back here. Now, the third part of the triangle is that you recommend this company to new customers. You bring your friends, you give referrals, and you get resales. So people buy again, and bring their friends to buy also. If you see a good movie or watch a good television show or go to a good restaurant when the virus has passed, is you always tell other people about how good it was. And almost all companies grow because of word of mouth. 94% of business success is when people tell other people how good your company is, how good your services are, how good the experience of dealing with you was. 94% of your success is determined by what people say to other people after they buy from you. So here's a great question, Huda, and it's very simple. You say, what is your after sales service program? When somebody buys from you, what happens then? Okay, you deliver the product or service, and then what do you do? What kind of service do you call them? Do you send them a letter? I know companies that will make a sale, or the salesperson will make a sale, and the president of the company will call and say, I'm the president of this company, and I see that you just purchased our product or service, and I wanted to call you, thank you for buying from us. And if ever you have any questions or problems, please call me personally, and I will take care of you. Now, that's a very simple thing to do, but it's very powerful. It's very powerful. People, wow, they are so impressed. The president or the managing director of the company called me personally and thanked me for buying and gave me his or her telephone number and told me to call personally. Now, is this person someone else that this happened? Are they going to tell their wife or husband or tell a friend, is that I bought this product and this managing director phoned me and thanked me? People will say, wow, that's amazing. What does it cost? What is the cost of giving that kind of service? And the cost is zero. There's no cost at all. And if you sell large products or services, one of the things that you can do is call up the managing director and invite them for lunch and take them for lunch and go and see them personally and thank them and ask them for their feedback and tell them we want this to be a wonderful experience for you. So if ever you have any questions, please call us and we'll take care of you. This the very, very best sales message is who tells other people. And so therefore, your job is to make your customers so happy that they become your salespeople. Is your very best salespeople are your happy customers who tell other people to buy from you based on their experience. If someone were to say to you, I went to this new restaurant and it was really excellent, and I had this great experience, and you should go as well. If this is your friend, are you going to argue with them? No. The only question you're going to ask is, where is it? What is the address? What is the phone number? That's the next place that you want to go because your friend told you it was a good choice. So we teach many different techniques and methods like this that most companies are not using. And that's why companies double and triple their sales and profitability in a very short time. They start to do things that they never thought of doing before. And the next question we ask, here's your 6-year-old child, and the 6-year-old child said, what is it about your product or service that makes it superior to your competition? What is it that makes your product superior, that causes people to choose your product or service rather than that of someone else? And just wait and listen. What is your answer to that? In business, we say there's basically 4 major factors in business success. Number 1 is to specialize. Is you specialize in a particular product, or you specialize in a particular customer, or you specialize in a particular technology or a particular market. Let me give you an example. I just read an article a few minutes ago on the man that they are predicting will be the first trillionaire. And it is the founder of Amazon. And I don't know if you have Amazon company in Algeria.
No,
but
we don't
Amazon,
have.
when Amazon comes to Algeria, it will transform the market. Because with Amazon, when they first started, it was about the same time that they developed the iPhone. And so and what they did is they offered books. So who was their customer? People who like to read, but didn't have the time to go to bookstores and find that the book that they had heard about is sold out. So we have to buy the book, and then you have to go back in a week or 2 weeks to get the book, and you have to pay average of $25 for the book. So he came up with this idea to sell books online. And you could go and you could order any one of the books that was available in the market. Today you can buy more than 2 million books, every book that's ever been written. And now they have them in Germany and France and Russian and Chinese. So you can buy them in any language. And their goal was to make the process of buying so simple that you could buy in 30 seconds. So recently I was talking to someone and I said, have you read any good books lately? And she said, yes, I read this really good book. And she explained it to me. So I took out my iPhone and I pushed in Amazon and I pushed up the book and I bought the book, put mine down, less than 30 seconds. And the book was delivered to my house in 2 days. Now, nobody reads a book the minute that they buy it or the day that they buy it, so they don't need to have it overnight. So he said, well, if he didn't have to have a large facility and publish books, he could give people a discount. So what does Amazon offer for books? They say we can buy the book at 30% less than the retail price. It's delivered to your home in 5 to 7 days. And today they delivered in 1 or 2 days. And it's unconditionally guaranteed. If you don't like it, you can send it back and get your money back. Then other companies came to them and said, can we sell our product with your same system? And they said, well, that's a good idea. We've set up all the system in place. So they began to take on thousands and then tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands of other small companies. So you can go to Amazon now and you can buy almost any product in the world. You can buy it at a discount, delivered to your home or office within 2 days. And they make a profit because they have very high volume. So they only have to make a small profit on each sale. So they now have more than 30 million products are available on Amazon. Almost every product in the world. And it's at a low price, unconditionally guaranteed. So the man who formed this company from zero, from nothing, is today he is worth $145 billion. And they say his net worth is increasing at the rate of 34% each year. And as Einstein said, the greatest miracle in the world is the miracle of compounding. So his income is compounding at 34% a year, and that within a few years, he will be a trillionaire. He will have $1 trillion in the bank, which nobody has ever done before. And last month, in the middle of the pandemic, because everyone now is buying products through Amazon, in the middle of the pandemic, he hired 175,000 people. And the people who work at Amazon are paid quite high wages. He hired 175,000 people. And he's now hiring more and building more warehouses. And once people go and they start to buy, because what he offers is unlimited customer satisfaction, low prices, fast delivery, a variety of products and services, everything that people want, he offers in one place. So he's satisfying more customers at a higher level, which brings us to the number one reason why people buy, and it's called customer satisfaction. So we said before that the first of the four keys is you have to specialize in a particular area. And he specializes in delivering products or services quickly to your home or office. And he also specializes in making the process of ordering 30 seconds or less. We call it one-click shopping, 30 seconds or less. It's amazing. You can order and buy a product while you're talking or riding on the bus or stopped in your car. You can just go bing, bang, and just go on, and the product will be delivered to you in a day or two. Well, what is the biggest department store chain in the world? The most valuable, and it is Walmart's. Walmart has something like 3,000 stores, and some of the stores are as big as airplane hangars. And they decided to specialize in customers. And the customer they specialize in is the customer that doesn't have a lot of money. These are customers that live from paycheck to paycheck, which is the bottom 70% of the market. One of our big problems today with the coronavirus and the layoffs that we have is that most people have no savings. So if they lose their job and go home, they have no money. They have no extra money. Well, Walmart's became successful by selling things to the 70% of the market that didn't have a lot of money. In other words, they spent everything they earned every month. So first of all, they started off with clothes and with things that a family uses. Then they started to offer television sets and furniture, and then appliances and cosmetics and shampoo, and whatever they could think of. As they grew and grew, they would offer it. And now then they started to offer food. So now they offer almost everything that an average or below average income earner would want to consume. And they offer it at the lowest price, and they offer it with an unconditional guarantee. So they're the fastest growing company, department store company in the world, and the most profitable. And all the owners of Walmart stores are some of the richest people in the world. And they started with one little store in one little town in one little state in the US, where you cannot imagine a small store in a poor town, in a poor city, in a poor state. It's in Arkansas. And Arkansas for many years was actually kind of a joke. If you're from Arkansas, you're from a very poor part of the country. And from that, with the one idea of serving the one customer, specializing in that customer, they became the richest and most successful retail sales business in the world. What is the most successful restaurant chain in the world? And it's McDonald's. McDonald's has 36,000 restaurants, and every McDonald's restaurant with the exception of one, has been successful and profitable. There's only one restaurant that ever failed, and it failed because the city built a freeway right across the front of the McDonald's restaurant and cut it off so that no one could reach the restaurant. There were no roads to get to the restaurant. That's the only restaurant that ever failed. So if your little 6-year-old child asks, what do you specialize in? You can sell many different products or services, but what is your clear area of specialization? And it must be so clear that everybody understands it and that your competition understand it, and especially your customers understand it. Now, the second part, there's 4 parts. The second part of success in business is called differentiation. And differentiation is where you offer a product or service that is clearly different and superior. It is better than your competitor. And so the most important question of all is, what is your area of differentiation? First, you specialize in this area. Then, how and why is your product or service superior to any other company that specializes in this area? And differentiation is the number one reason for success. And this is something you must be thinking about all the time, because whenever you do something that enables you to sell more and to earn more profits, your competition will copy you immediately, sometimes in just a few days. If you run an advertisement in the paper or on television that attracts new customers, your competition is watching all the time. And if your competition sees your advertising and sees that it is good advertising, they will immediately copy your advertising and improve on it some way. So basically, when you're a child, there's a little game that children play, and it's called leapfrog, where one person jumps over the other child, and then the next person jumps over that person, and the next person jumps over that person. When you get into business, you get into a game of leapfrog, jumping over your competition, offering something that is better than your competition. And you do this for the entire time you're in business. And if you ever stop improving your product or service, you go out of business quickly. And it is amazing how many people stop improving their product, and they're amazed that their business just starts to die away. So it's really important. Some people ask me, what is the major reason for failure, especially today in the age of the coronavirus? And my answer is, it is the comfort zone. And this is the greatest trap that a company or a business can get into, is we become comfortable doing things in a certain way. And what we do is we try to keep doing things the same way. We try to stay in our comfort zone. And unfortunately, if we're not continually changing and improving, because our competition is continually changing and improving, we'll soon be out of business. So we struggle to stay in our comfort zone and to keep doing what we were doing in the past. You see, a business is only successful if you do something that works, that gives you good results. But as I said, whatever is successful today will soon stop being successful. And you will have to change or improve it in some way, or you will go out of business. Instead, most people get into a comfort zone and they struggle to keep on doing what they were doing before. Today, in this crisis that we are facing all over the world, this is a trap that will lead all of these companies to fail. But you know that there are many companies today that are actually growing. And they're growing because instead of getting into a comfort zone, they are accepting that everything has changed and they have to change as well. So they don't have to change the world overnight. what they do is they change a little bit here and a little bit there. They change their offering and they change their pricing and they change their delivery. For example, about 5 years ago, companies began to deliver food to people's homes. And we had never ordered dinners from restaurants outside the house, but I had some problems with my back and I couldn't go out. Was not able to get around a lot. So it was much easier just to order food to be delivered to the house. And there's a company, a very successful company called Uber. And Uber is a taxi company. And Uber is you can phone Uber and they will send you a taxi that is driven by a person who owns the car privately, and they'll pick you up and drop you off. And they have an Uber application, and you click on the application, and your credit card is in there. You click on this, and you say, "I need a car." Click, and it will come back. Car will be at your location in 7 minutes. In 7 minutes, the car pulls up. You get in. They drop you off at your destination, and you get out and walk away. And all of the billing is done on the iPhone. And it's so simple and easy, and the price is much lower than a taxi. So this has become one of the biggest multi-billion-dollar companies in the world. So its value today is 50 or 60 or 70 billion dollars. And when they saw that people liked the convenience of ordering food from a restaurant by having the menu on the iPhone, they'd look at the menu, they'd order the food, and so they established a new business called Uber Eats or Uber Food. And so they have an Uber driver who has spare time, picks up the food, delivers it to your home at the same price if you went to the restaurant. This company became a multi-billion-dollar company within 3 years. So another company started offering home delivery, and another company offered home delivery. And today, because of the coronavirus, these companies are delivering food to homes, and they're growing faster than you can possibly imagine. And they are multi-billion-dollar companies, and everybody orders food delivered to their homes. It's absolutely amazing because they refuse to stay in a comfort zone. They kept looking for different ways to sell and deliver their product or service, even though we have the coronavirus. And you must do the same. Back in the 90s, 1995, 96, they did a study at one of the major universities, and they asked what would be the most important quality for success in business in this century, in the new century. And the answer that they got back, 95% of the people who filled out the forms, the answer they got back was flexibility. Flexibility, combined with the word adaptability. But they very much mean the same. Flexibility means that you had to be willing to change and do things differently as the market changed, as customers changed, as technology changed. They came out with this idea, flexibility, before they had email, before they had computers, before they had laptops, before they had any of that. They said you're going to have to be very flexible because things are going to change more rapidly. And what happens in technology, if somebody comes up with a new idea where they can earn more money, someone else follows or copies that idea, but they add new technology to it. And each time a new piece of technology is developed, it becomes a multiplication form. And then the company has to come up with something that's new and different and multiplies times that. So now almost everything we're doing today, it's completely different from what we were doing 10 years ago. And within 5 years, with this coronavirus, which will pass, it will be resolved, with this coronavirus, the speed of change is unbelievable. So the important thing is you have to be able to adapt, just like animals adapt over the course of the centuries. You have to be able to adapt over the course of the days and the weeks as the market changes, customers change, and competition changes, and everything changes. You have to. A very wise man once said, "If you have made all of your decisions and carefully planned your entire strategy, and you have a plan to go forward for the next 3 to 5 years, and you finish it all off on Friday evening, Friday afternoon, you're all ready to go starting on Monday. And on Monday, competition and technology changes. Something happens that you hadn't expected. You have to throw your plan away and adapt to the whole new situation. And so you have to be open to that as well. Just keep looking at every change that's taking place and recognize that everyone wants to earn more money, and they want to earn it faster, and they want to earn it easier. And everyone wants to have a better life, and they want it faster and cheaper and easier. And your competitors are constantly looking for faster, easier, cheaper ways to satisfy customers. And you have to do the same thing. One of the things that I teach is that your competitors, let me tell you a story. And a few years ago, I was speaking in Africa, and I was speaking in Tanzania, and speaking in Kenya, and speaking in Johannesburg, South Africa, and also in Nigeria and Ghana. I went to Kenya, and Kenya is where they have the Great Plains of Africa. And I'd always wanted to go on a safari, and they have beautiful companies that are set up so you can go on a 3-day seminar, a 3-day safari, a 1-week safari, a 1-month safari. Well, I had 3 days. And so I signed up for it. And then I took an airplane to a medium-sized town, and then a small plane, and then a smaller plane. And I landed way out in the jungle, way out in the plains. And they took me to a little camp. They call it a safari camp, where they have little tents and little restaurants, dining hall, and so on. And then in the daytime, they take you out to look at the animals, the lions and the cheetahs and the elephants and the giraffe and so on. And then in the evening, they bring you back and you have wine and food, and it's a wonderful experience. And I'd always wanted to do that. So then I heard this story that I would pass on to you. And the story is that every morning in the Great Plains of Africa, a a um, uh, 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 a gazelle, sorry, along running animals. Every morning, a gazelle wakes up, and that gazelle knows that it has to run that day faster than the slowest lion. I'm sorry, faster than the fastest lion if it wants to live and survive that day. And every day on the plains of Africa, a lion wakes up, and the lion knows that it has to run faster than the slowest gazelle if it wants to eat that day. And so the moral of the story is this, is every morning, whether you are a gazelle or a lion, when you wake up, you had better be running. You have to be competing every day if you want to survive. And what worked out well today will change tomorrow and next week. So it must be continually changing. And the way you change is that you keep asking the most important questions. And so one of the questions you can ask, and this is really important, we said one of the questions is, what do you do that makes you superior to your competition? And you must constantly be improving your offerings so that your competitors, your customers, always say that you are superior to my competitors. Then the next question is, what skills and abilities and what knowledge and what capabilities will you need in the future to be superior to your competitors? In my seminars, I will ask this question. I will say, imagine that I have a magic wand and that I can wave this magic wand and that overnight you can become absolutely excellent at one new skill. The question is, what one skill, if you could have it overnight, when you woke up tomorrow morning, almost like you'd taken a magic potion, and you're absolutely excellent at this one skill, what one skill would help you the most to double your income? What one skill would help you the most to double your income? And write it down as a goal and make a list of everything you could do to achieve that goal. And then determine the first thing you would need to do. And then begin with number one. And every day you need to be running. Every day you need to be upgrading your skill a little bit. You need to be getting a little bit better every day. Now here's a rule, and this is one of the most important rules for success, is if you are not getting better, you're actually getting worse. In other words, if you're not improving and becoming better at your work, you're actually declining and getting worse. Almost like your physical body. Your physical body, if you're not exercising to keep your physical body strong, then your physical body is getting weaker and weaker. So it's so important that you continually learn new things, that you upgrade your skills on a regular basis. And so ask yourself, what one skill, if you developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would help you the most to increase your income? What one skill is it? And whatever it is, work on that skill until you've developed that skill. Now, remember this, no one is better than you and no one is smarter than you. No one knows anything about business when they start off. Every skill in business is learnable. You can learn any skill that you need to learn to achieve any goal that you can set for yourself. So the question is, what is the most important skill that you can develop and learn in order to be successful? So those are the first two in business. Number one is to specialize in a particular area and focus just on becoming the very best in that area. If you sell a certain kind of food, it'd be the very best in that area of food. If you offer a particular product or service, your goal is to be absolutely excellent with that product or that service. Your job is not to be average at many things, but to be very good at a few things. Remember that 80% of your sales and your revenues and your profit will come from only 20% of the products or services that you offer. And your question is to ask, what are those 20% of products or services? In a time like today, because of the trap of the comfort zone, people don't realize that you have to cut back from 100% of products, you have to cut back to your top 20%. Products that you sell the most easily and that are the most profitable. You can still offer the bottom 80%, but you focus all of your attention, focus and concentrate on selling the few products that customers like the most and which are the most profitable. Part number three of selling, of marketing, is segmentation. And segmentation, we talked about, is where you look at all the different people in the marketplace and then you select exactly those people who are the most likely to buy from you the fastest. This is where we talked about demographics and psychographics and how much people earn and where they live and so on. In other words, there's a rule that says fish where the fish are. If you're going to go fishing where the fish are. What you do is you focus on those customers who want and need and like your product the very most and who will buy the very soonest. One of the things that I have taught for years is that if a person says to you that I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I don't have the money, believe them. Don't argue with them. Don't try to find a way to change their mind. If a person says, well, I like your product, but I can't afford it, which is what many customers say, you say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You have a wonderful day, and here's my card. And if your situation changes and I can help you, please call me. And I'd be very happy to talk to you some more. But right now, I have to get going. And you smile and you shake hands and you leave and you go and talk to somebody who does have the money and who can afford it and just has to be convinced that your product or service is the right one for them at this time. But I used to, when I started off, people would say, oh, everybody can afford it, or they can find the money if you are patient or you're persistent enough. But the answer is that if people say they can't afford it, just accept that they're telling the truth and leave and spend more and more time. The rule is this, is to spend more time with better prospects. Spend more time with better prospects. And you could summarize the secret of business success in the world with just that. Spend more time talking to people who want and need and have the money to pay for your product or service. Focus and concentrate on those people who can buy the soonest and whom you can satisfy the most. Jeff Bezos, richest man in the world, potentially the first trillionaire. Because why? It's because he serves more people better and faster than anyone else. And Jeff Bezos doesn't try to sell pizza, and he doesn't try to sell cars, and he doesn't try to sell potatoes. He just focuses on products and services that can be purchased online and delivered quickly through his delivery system. It's the same thing with you. Specialize, become absolutely excellent at what you do, identify the customers in the market who most appreciate what you do. And then number 4 is concentration. Concentrate 100% of your time and your money and your energy and your activities on selling the very best products you have to the very best people who can buy them the fastest and pay for them the quickest. Those are the 4 keys. And you can actually take a degree in marketing in Harvard where they will spend 3 months teaching you these 4 keys in great depth. I have done hundreds of hours of research in this area, and I have found that most people in business don't know what I just told you. And yet all successful business is based on what we just talked about. So these are some of the things that we teach in coaching. Now, why is it that you should use a business coach rather than to do it yourself? Well, we call a business coach a doctor of business. If you have a problem with your physical body, you don't read a book or figure it out by yourself. You go to a doctor who is completely trained and who has an enormous amount of experience with many other people who had the same problem that you have, or the same need, or the same goal. And what you do, what you do is with a business coach is sort of like a doctor of business. What they do is they do 3 things. First of all, they come in and just like a doctor has 3 parts of the practice of medicine. The first part is the examination. A good business coach will come in and they will carefully examine your business. They'll ask you questions about your business and your market and your products and services and your competition and your areas of differentiation and your methods of selling and advertising and promotion. The things that we've talked about here and many more. Then they will work with you to identify those things that you can do that you can greatly improve in a short period of time so that the average business coach gives you back $10 or francs for every $1 or franc that you spend in services. In other words, the return on investment from business services is usually 10 to 1. And it's the same, by the way, if you get a good accountant to take care of your accounting, and the money that they will save you in taxes and other expenses will be 10 times the amount that you pay them. In other words, good business services, especially coaching, are actually free services, because no matter how much you pay for the services, you will get back value that is 5 and 10 times what you actually pay. So I always say that my services are free plus a profit. So I pay for myself, plus you make a profit of extra income and revenues and profits. So the more you pay me, multiplied by 10, the freer that I am. So a good business coach who has experience with many different patients, many different companies and businesses and individuals, can give you advice and guidance that can pay for itself over and over again, and sometimes very quickly. I do seminars now online, but I've done more than 5,000 live seminars worldwide. And people come up to me and they say, "Oh my God," they say, "you made me rich." People say, you made me rich. You changed my life. You made me rich. I spent one day with you. I spent one seminar with you, and you taught me things that I never thought about before. Some people say, I just spoke to one of my clients in Poland, in Warsaw, this morning for an hour. And he introduced me by saying that he bought one book of mine many years ago when he was just starting off, and he had no money, and he was going nowhere, and he was living in a small room, and he read one book from me, and today he's rich. And today he has a large national business. Today he's got a beautiful wife, a lovely home, a beautiful car, and just his whole life. He said, my life changed when I learned about these new ideas. And what happens with a business coach is a business coach will give you ideas and insights that you never thought of before. And they always work. It's not like they work sometimes, but they always work to bring about greater sales and profitability, and much faster than you could ever do it yourself. One of the problems in business is that you are so busy surviving that you don't have time to learn new ideas and new strategies. The business coach can help you. The business coach can take you by the hand and help you to do more of the things that bring you very fast results. And so that's why you need a business coach. And that's why our business coaches often have clients that hire them and use them for 5 and 10 years, because no matter how much the coach charges for their services, you earn far more back from increased sales and profitability. So one of the things that I recommend is that now that Brian Tracy's Focal Point Coaching is coming to Algeria, that you work with us as a coach and as a client, and we will help you achieve your business goals much faster than you ever could in the absence of our help. And we are experienced because we have worked with more than 10,000 companies of all kinds. And we have put together systems like recipes in the kitchen that work all the time to bring you out beautiful results. And our results are consistent, and they help you, and they enable you to achieve your financial goals faster than you ever could. So I think at this point, Auda, we should stop and answer any questions that anybody might have as a result of this. I have basically given you about 2 or 3 pages of the hundreds of pages of information that we share with you and share with your business and with the people in your business. So I've just taken a couple of ideas here, a couple of pages, and a couple of bullet points, and basically some activities that you can do. And there's much, much more. This is just the beginning of working together with me and with our coaching programs. So, Auda?
Thank you very much, Brian. This was really a brilliant speech. It always makes us emotional listening to you. So I have actually a couple of questions, but let's start with the first one. How can we relate all these basics and methodology briefly to the Algerian case and Algerian market, which is a very complex market actually?
Well, we always start off with becoming brilliant on the basics. And the basics are about 10 different points that you need to think about. And they are different for every country. They are different for Algeria, and they are different for different parts of Algeria. And they are different for different industries and businesses in Algeria. But they're sort of like spices that you buy from the store and you take them home and you prepare dishes. The spices are the same ones on the shelves of stores in Algiers as on the shelves of stores in New York or Paris or London or Rome or Tokyo. In other words, they're the same basic ingredients. You just simply use them differently for your different situation. Very much like our difference in language. You speak French and Arabic. I speak German and English and some Spanish and some Portuguese. So, but basically, we try to communicate the same message. So that's why our ideas are now taught all over the world in every different language, every different country, every different culture. These ideas work to bring about results faster. Remember, faster, better, cheaper, easier. This is what everybody wants, and this is what happens when you use our systems.
Actually, Brian, some of our someone from the audience is asking, when we are in business, don't you think that it's more beneficial and easy to take rather a consultant who will bring us solutions rather than a business coach who will just accompany us in the discovery of our problem without necessarily giving us any solution? And you know, we always receive this question, why a business coach?
Is like a business doctor, and they're a combination of a consultant plus a coach or an advisor. A business consultant focuses only on the business, but the coach teaches business strategies as well as personal success strategies. So what I have done all my life, and sort of like a railroad with two tracks that carries the engine, is I have focused on personal success and development and self-confidence, and business success and development and self-confidence. And the two, like railroad tracks held together with pilings, the two together enable a company and a company owner not only to achieve far better financial results, but far better personal results as well. They are happier, they have more self-confidence, they have more self-esteem, they achieve their goals faster, and simultaneously they know how to build their business better.
Yeah. Brian, we know as focal business coaches that our programs increase revenues, decrease costs, and improve culture. What could you add on that, please?
I did not understand.
Said we know as a focal point that our programs build resilience and increase revenues and decrease the costs. So could you please, what else could you add on this?
I'm sorry, I still don't understand the question.
I'm talking about excuse me.
We're having a problem with the sound and the technology. Your voice is breaking up continually. So I'm not hearing your
Okay.
question.
Okay, sorry. I was just talking about the focal point programs. We know that they build resilience and they increase profits and decrease costs. Could you add something on that, please? What is the benefit from the focal point programs?
We have the 80-20 rule, and the 80-20 rule says that 20% of businesses are far more profitable and successful than 80% of businesses. And the focal point process takes the very most successful businesses in the world and brings together the methods and techniques and strategies that they use, and they make them available to you. Very much like the example I was using of phoning a restaurant and having your food delivered to your home. Rather than preparing all the food yourself, the food is delivered in about 30 minutes, and then your family eats, and then you put away the dishes. And it's very simple. You don't have to learn how to cook all those foods. It's all done for you. With a coach, the coach has many years of experience working with many different companies in many different industries. Focal Point has now been in business since about the year 2000. It's almost 30 years of experience. We have worked with small and large companies all over the world. We have a very high level of satisfaction. Everyone who works with Focal Point is happy. The business owners are happy because they earn more money and they earn it faster and easier than they ever thought possible. They learn techniques and methods that they had never heard of before. And so this is why you want Focal Point coaching, because it pays you far more than it costs you. Remember, business services are only good is if you make a profit when you hire a business coach. So no matter what you pay a business coach, you earn far more in terms of profits as a result, or you don't do it. It's as simple as that. And so a business coach is basically free. We say free plus a profit. And this is why people use our services for many years. They use our service every month, every year for 5 and 10 years, because every year they're making a profit. They're still making more money from having a coach than they would if they did not have the coach. And all you have to do is try it. If you go to a nice restaurant, the person says, this is a good restaurant. So you go to the restaurant and you order the food and you eat it and you decide whether or not I want to come back to this restaurant. With coaching, it's the same thing. With coaching, what you do is you use a business coach for a certain period of time, and then you decide for yourself if you're getting good results. My experience has been that sometimes one session with a coach will pay for itself 100 times, because we always say that there's 4 ways to fix your business, to improve your business. You can do more of some things and you can do less of other things. You can start doing something new and you can stop doing something old. However, without a business coach, you'll keep going and doing the same things over and over, whether or not they work for you. So a good business coach will show you what are the things you need to be doing more of every day. What are the things you need to be doing less of? What do you need to start doing that you're not doing today? And what do you need to stop doing completely? And every person has answers to those 4 questions. Every day, there are things that you have to start or stop, things that you have to do more of or less of. And that is just one small part of focal point coaching. There's many, many more. As I say, I've written 86 books on both personal and business development. And sometimes one simple technique in sales or marketing or negotiating can be worth a fortune to you. But if you don't know the technique, then it is of no value. So when you hire a coach, basically you hire a person who has gone out and spent hundreds or thousands of hours and many years to learn these skills, and they bring them to you, and you can take them like food delivered. You can take the ideas and use them immediately. and get new results. People say, they say, well, I can learn this by myself. But the fact is, no, you can't. Because if you could, you would have already done it. The fact is that you cannot learn these ideas yourself because you don't have the time and you don't even know what you need to learn. Whereas a good business coach has specialized in this for many years, and they can identify needs and goals and problems that you have and help you to achieve them far faster than you ever could by yourself. Other than that, the business coaching business would not be growing all over the world, in every industry, in every country, more and more companies. In large companies in the US, the top 20% of executives have a personal coach. The company pays thousands of dollars a month for a personal coach who works with the top executives for a couple of hours each week. And I have a friend who is considered the top business coach in the world. He's been written up in the biggest business magazines. He charges $150,000 a year to work with an executive. And he visits with the executive once a week. And they talk for 1 hour. And he says, if at any time you're not happy with my services, we'll stop. And if you're not happy with the results, then there is no charge. And he said he has never once in 30 years not been paid, and never once has a client said that they didn't get results that were vastly greater than the amount that they paid. And he lives not far from me, and he lives in a beautiful, huge mansion in a beautiful area. And he's considered the top business coach in the world. But he works with more than 300 business coaches, and all of these people are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to come in and work. And all they work on is with one person in the company at a time, and they work on one skill or one area of development. Our business coaches work with our clients, and they work with a whole series of different skills, both in personal success and both in business success. So and I always say you can always decide for yourself, like going to a restaurant, get a business coach, try them out. If you're not happy with your results, then don't use the coach again. But the fact is that business coaching works. And that's why it's so popular. And it's more popular with successful businesses and executives than with anyone else. So if you're not using a business coach today, it's like not having a telephone for your business. You can still communicate, but if you don't have a telephone, then it's going to be much, much more difficult. A business coach can open your eyes to so many different things that you can do better in your business and do immediately. And sometimes one change is worth a fortune to you. But unless you know what that change is, unless you have a coach who can identify it and tell you what it is, then you can keep on doing the wrong things, or you can keep on not doing the right things forever. And the natural tendency for 80% of businesses is to get into a comfort zone and to keep doing the wrong things over and over. And coaches will help you to spend more and more time doing those few things that pay you and your company the very most.
Thank you, Brian. Actually, Algeria Startup Challenge program and Sahratech webinars are destined for young entrepreneurs to share knowledge. Are focal point methods also good for startups?
They're especially good for startups. The statistics are very interesting. Is 90% of businesses started by people with low or no business experience fail in 2 to 4 years. And they not only fail, but they take up all the money that the new business or the new entrepreneur has and all the money of the family. So the people basically go broke within 2 to 4 years if they are started by someone without business experience. But 90% of companies that are started by people with business experience succeed and grow and grow and grow. So if you have a lot of business experience, then the first thing you should do is get a coach. If you have limited business experience, the first thing you should do is get a coach. You need advice, just like you need, if you have a pain in your body, you need to go to a doctor. If you're going to start a business in this world with all the competition surrounding you, then you're going to have someone to help you who has much more experience than you do. All the successful companies, including the Fortune 500 companies in America, all the top executive coaches, they have personal coaches because they do not waste money. They only invest in something that gives them a return far greater than the amount they invest. So when you hire a coach, the value of the coaching services is far greater than you would get than if you just did it by yourself.
Thank you. Brian, a lot of people are asking what would be the future of business after this coronavirus crisis?
Business is all based on serving people with the products and services that they need to live their lives, to raise a family, to take care of their children, to have health and live a long life. So things will go because the desire past. The virus that we had in 1918, the Spanish virus, times worse than this virus. And it came and went less than 2 years, and the whole world was back to normal. And not only that, the whole world boomed in prosperity for the next 10 years. So what will happen here is we have the smartest people in the world working on a vaccine. Today we have more than 100 of the biggest companies in the world, the very best scientists in the world working on a vaccine that will eliminate the virus. And the pressure is on because the company that develops the vaccine first is going to become one of the richest companies in the world. And every company that comes up with a vaccine, as soon as there's a vaccine, everyone is going to get the vaccine. We have 8 billion people in the world, and 8 billion people are going to buy that vaccine as fast as they can. So therefore, this will pass, and it'll pass, and there will be a vaccine, and each person will get the vaccine once a year, and the people who develop the vaccine will become the richest people in the world. So that's a very high motivation, and within a year, this whole thing will be passed, and maybe even sooner. It always has been, even with the Spanish virus, Spanish flu, which killed tens of millions of people. This virus and this contagion is much, much less than that. And we have far more experienced doctors working on this. So it will be okay. Most people think that it will be completely okay by the end of the summer. We don't know for sure. We will see, but they're having more and more good experience. And I think that probably by August, we will see the worst of this. It may even be July. But by the fall, we'll probably be back to normal. And business will go back to normal with a lot of small changes.
Yeah. Brian, during young people and entrepreneurs and startups are more determined than ever to achieve goals today. What piece of advice would you bring to them in order to improve the power of their mindset? Because I know you've talked a lot about the mindset and especially in perform at your best. So what piece of advice would you bring to them?
I believe that each person has turning points in life. And after these turning points, they're never the same again. And I've had 3 turning points in my life. And if anybody asks me for a formula for success, I will give you the 3-part formula. And it works for everyone, everywhere, always. But the failure to apply these 3 points leads to guaranteed failure and underachievement. And here they are. Number 1 is to accept responsibility for your life. Refuse to blame anybody else for your problems. Say the magic words, I am responsible. If there's something in my life that I am not happy about, I am responsible for changing it. Nobody else. So that immediately eliminates 90% of the reasons why people are negative or angry or unhappy. Because I've studied this for many years. I've invested more than 4,000 hours in studying this psychological phenomena. Is the number 1 job in life is to eliminate negative emotions, because negative emotions are like a poison that pulls you down, too tired, that causes your mind not to function, makes you angry and depressed. The way that you overcome negative emotions is simply to accept responsibility. You say, I'm responsible. If I'm not happy with something in my life, then I'm responsible for changing it. I'm an adult. I'm not a child, so I'm an adult. And if I'm not happy with this, then my job is to change it. So then the next part of the triangle is to set goals. If I'm responsible for achieving things, what is it that I want to achieve? And so what we teach is how to set goals. You write the goals down. We teach a 12-part process or program that's used all over the world, and that people tell me is life transforming. From learning how to set goals, and after learning how to set goals, your life changes forever. And it's a system that I've developed with thousands of hours of experience. And basically, you decide exactly what you want, and you write it down, and you make a step-by-step plan to achieve your goal, and then you work on it every day. And if you accept responsibility and set goals, your whole life changes. And then number 3 part of the triangle is dedicate yourself to continuous learning and self-development, so that you're always growing and becoming better and better in the areas of your life that are most important for your success. So it's responsibility, goals, and continuous learning. Those were the 3 things that changed my life more than anything else. And I've shared these ideas with hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions. And every one of them tells me, you changed my life. You made me rich. When I heard those things, it made me rich. Today, my whole life is transformed. I hear it every day. I hear it everywhere I go, all over the world. You changed my life. You made me rich. And the principles work because they're so simple. All they require is a decision on your part to practice the principles, and then the self-discipline to do the things you need to do to be successful, and then the persistence to keep on working. They say that persistence is self-discipline in action. So once you decide what you want, you discipline yourself and you persist until you achieve your most important goals. And your life transforms. And the most wonderful thing of all is that you are completely in control of your life and your income and everything that happens to you. We say that if you want to earn more money, go to the closest mirror and negotiate with your boss, because you are the boss of your life. If there's anything in your life that you're unhappy with, go to the mirror and talk to the person in the mirror, because that's the person who's in charge of your life. And it's a very simple thing to think about, but imagine that I am responsible. We teach this in our seminars all over the world in every language. Say those magic words, I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible. And then, responsible for what? And you say, here's my goals. Imagine this. Imagine that you have unlimited talents and abilities, and that any goal that you can write down, you can achieve. It's almost like your pen has magic in it. And if you write something down, it will come through. And so what you do is you take a piece of paper. We say that all you need for great success is a piece of paper, a pen, and you. and you sit down with a piece of paper and you write down everything that you want to have in your life. We teach people to start off with 10 goals and then write down the 10 goals and then pick the one goal that is the most important and work on that one goal every day. Every day, do something that takes you one step closer to your most important goal. And soon you start to find yourself moving forward toward the achievement of all your goals. And you start to find yourself having more energy and more confidence every single day. And your whole life changes. It's absolutely amazing. So just imagine that any pen that you have is a magic pen. And if you write down a goal, it comes true. You know that only 3% of adults have written goals? 97% of adults do not have written goals. But the 3% who have written goals earn 10 times as much as people without written goals. And I have taught this statistic all over the world for more than 30 years, and it's always true. It's the most amazing darn thing. So, and that's just one little thing that we teach in focal point coaching.
Yeah, I think we have a question from Paul now. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Oda. Thank you. This is the proof. This is Brian's work. Right?
Yeah.
Brian, thank you. Can you hear me well?
Well, yes, I can hear you very well.
Brian, thank you a lot for tonight. I just want to ask you this. It is more than a question, really. You know, the subject of leadership, it has been talked about and to the point that it's overstretched. Almost, there's so much literature now about leadership to the point that it's just overwhelming, the amount of literature. And almost every person became an expert about leadership these days. So my question is, we're trying really to kind of develop a program for Algeria, for the young rising Algerian people. And we want to keep it simple. And I know with the module that you wrote on becoming a leader, I just want any comment that you can give us or guide us or about this. We really want to develop something that is not complicated and try to make it like a program where we can reach a lot of people in Algeria.
Well, I have written books and courses on leadership several days. I have 20 books on leadership that are published worldwide. But let me just suggest this, is that, as you know, your mind is very powerful. It's very powerful. And the most important thing about your mind is clarity, is that you have to be very clear about what you want. So the hallmark of leaders is vision. Is leaders have a clear picture of what their perfect life would look like or their perfect business sometime in the future. And they have the ability to share this vision and motivate other people with this vision. They say, this is what we are going to accomplish. The most successful business people gather around them other motivated people, and they say, this is what we're going to do with our business. This is what we're going to achieve. And then the only question that counts is the question, how? How do we achieve it? How do we move from where we are to where we want to be? That is leadership, is clarity of vision. And then you share the vision and other people say, I buy into that. I like that vision. And then you all work together and you say, how do we fulfill the vision? And you start moving toward the vision. And every week you meet and you talk and you discuss how it's working, and you change. We do more things, more or less. We start or stop. And we just keep working toward the goal. And that's the essence of leadership, is to accomplish the vision, to achieve the vision. And that's the most wonderful thing you can tell your children as well, is for them to have a vision. And you can change the vision. If the world changes around you, then you change it. If we have a coronavirus or something like that, you say, well, the vision that we selected last week, we have to have a different vision, one that is more capable of achievement today. And then we say that all success begins with the first step. And as a leader, you can always see the first step. And if you take the first step, the second step will appear. And you can always see one step ahead. And as long as you see one step ahead, you take the next step. And you take the next step. And if you keep taking one step at a time, you will eventually achieve the big goal. You'll eventually fulfill the vision. You'll eventually achieve great success. Number one reason people fail is they stop moving forward, is they start to go in circles and they waste time and they drink coffee or tea and they talk to their friends and so on. But successful people are like a spear. They're focused and they keep moving forward. So that's the key to leadership. Clear vision, clear plan, clear actions, and then just keep moving forward for the goal.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
This is true. I've shared this with so many people, and it works. It works 100% of the time. And you know from your own experience, I can see it in your face. You've done this over and over for yourself. You've taught other people to do it, and it always works.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just a small observation. People think that again, to clarify, to manage also expectations, that we would love to run this program in Algeria, especially on becoming the leader. But also it's good to manage expectation, because I think you nailed it 100% right when you said about the clarity and the vision, but also you need to keep doing it, because people are not just born leaders, you know. It's really an acquired skill over time. And I think the critical part, as we do that for the young Algerian startups, I would say, is really just for them to keep this in mind, that it's like a habit of practice that you need to keep doing it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Is that Peter Drucker said, people ask, is there such a thing as a born leader? And he said, yes, there are born leaders, but there are so few of them that they make no difference in the world. Is that leadership is learned. He said, leaders are developed and they are self-developed. Leaders become leaders because they work on themselves, and they work just like developing muscles. You can say, do people are they born naturally to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Well, there may be people that have that kind of body, but almost everyone else has to work for a long time to build up their mental muscles. And the wonderful thing is that each person is in complete control of the process, is that every person can become a leader by working on themselves. Drucker said leaders are self-developed, and you start off becoming a leader by doing what you teach and what I teach, is to have a clear vision of where you want to be sometime in the future, and then make a plan to get to that place, and then start moving toward it, and just keep moving and never give up, never quit, no matter how many disappointments you have. And the bigger your goal, the more failure you will have. You just never give up. And eventually you achieve the goal, and then the only thing that will satisfy you is a bigger goal and a bigger goal. And soon you find yourself at the head of a large company. And people say, how did you get to be the head of a large company? Well, I got to the head of a small company. That's how I got to the head of a large company. Yeah, so you basically do the very best you can. There's a wonderful line that I love. It says, do what you can with what you have right where you are. Do what you can with what you have right where you are. And when you do that, when you take advantage of the opportunities around you, more opportunities will arise, more opportunities for greater success. But start right where you are. And that's what, again, one of the things that we teach people is, here's how to start. You decide what your perfect future is going to look like, and we'll give you the guidance to create that perfect future.
you, Brian. Thank you. The mic is yours. I'm not sure if Huda can hear me. Hello? Huda, can you hear me?
Yeah, Brian, can you hear me? Yeah, you know, Brian, actually, I have a very beautiful question here for you. I remember that Andrew Phillips, and by the way, I say hello to Andrew because he's here with us. Andrew Phillips told us once that you write every morning your objectives and goals. And someone is asking, is there any formula for taking actions after writing goals?
This is what I have. And every day I take it out and I write down my goals every day. And it only takes 3 to 5 minutes. And you write down your 10 most important goals every day. You can write anything you want, but you must write your 10 goals. And what happens is, as you write your goals, they become programmed into your subconscious mind. And then you begin to attract people and resources into your life to achieve your goals. And the most amazing things happen. You meet a stranger who gives you an idea that sets you in a direction that enables you to achieve a great goal. What happens is remarkable coincidences will happen when you write down your goals. And you don't have to worry about how I can achieve this goal. All you have to do is be clear and write it down. And then the universe will bring the goal to you. As a matter of fact, many people say that getting a focal point coach was like a miracle because they had struggled for many years and were frustrated. And then a focal point coach spent an hour with them and changed their life completely. Because the great challenge is people do not know what they don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, then you cannot solve the problem. Yet that somebody out there knows this. Many people say, "Oh, I don't want to spend any money on a coach." Well, that's okay. Then you could be poor all your life. If you want to be poor, don't invest in yourself. It's one rule, guaranteed to be poor. Don't invest in yourself. Don't read books. Don't attend seminars. Don't use a coach. Don't invest in yourself so that you're guaranteed to always be poor. And the most wonderful thing, that's why when I discovered self-development, changed my life. Responsibility, goals, and personal development. Most wonderful thing in the world. That's why I spend 3 hours a day reading. And I've spent 3 hours a day reading for more than 50 years. I spent more than 150,000 hours reading. You see behind me all these books. You go out of this room and there's books and shelves, and every one of those shelves has double books. There's two books on every shelf. There's books downstairs, there's books upstairs, and I've read almost all of them. I've read something like 6,000 books in the course of 150,000 hours. And I don't remember them all, but I always underline and take notes. Underline and take notes. And every so often, occasionally, you stumble across one idea. One idea. You read 6 hours in a book. It takes about 6 hours to read an average book. And one idea from that book turns out to be worth $1 million. I've had a single idea that I heard on an interview when I was driving to a business meeting, and the following year, I made almost $1 million from that idea, because that was the one idea that I needed to connect with other ideas that I had, and it was worth $1 million. And I think, wow. And it happens over and over again, that the ideas are out there, but you must expose yourself to them. Because here's what we know is we know that there are ideas that will make you rich, but we don't know which idea it is. So what you have to do is you have to expose yourself to a great number of ideas, and then you dramatically increase the probability that you'll find the right idea at the right time. But if you don't learn new ideas, if you don't take in new information, well, then it's very unlikely that you are going to come up with the idea that you need. So just keep taking in more information. I call it scooping. Keep taking in more information, and one of those ideas can save you 5 years of hard work. You see it over and over again. It save you 5 years of hard work. I read a book once. It was worth several hours of reading. It had one thing. It said, sometimes the greatest breakthroughs are an idea from a stranger. You're talking to someone socially, and you're talking about what you do, and the person says, well, I learned one thing is I do this all the time. And you go, oh my God, you never thought about that? And it saves you 5 years of hard work. So many good things. What I've done is I've been gathering these ideas all my life, and that's why they're in the books and in our courses, and our focal point coaches learn them and teach these ideas. And they have so many ideas that people are going like this, because all you need is one idea that changes the direction of your life. And but you must be looking for it. You must be looking for it. Seek and ye shall find, the Bible says, for all who seek findeth. So, it's been more than an hour now. I must let you get back to your work, and I'll get back to mine.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I just have for you one last question. A lot of Algerian people love you, but but still didn't touch your library and books, and they are asking now where to start. Which book do you recommend as a start?
And fortunately, this book is in French, and I think it's also in Arabic. But the book is called Maximum Achievement. Maximum Achievement. Most people consider this to be the best single book ever written on personal success. I was doing an interview with my client in Poland this morning, and he said that. He said that reading Maximum Achievement changed his life forever. And I have a friend in Russia who is a billionaire, who was pushing a gurney in a hospital and earning $200 a month after the Soviet Union came down. And somebody gave him Maximum Achievement in Russian. It's one of the first books translated into Russian. And today he is one of the richest men in the world. And he hired me and told me that the reason he's worth almost $9 billion, according to Forbes magazine, is because of that book. The book made him rich. It changed his life forever. Remarkable story, remarkable story. And so Maximum Achievement is the starting point. If you read Maximum Achievement, my promise is that your life will probably never be the same. I don't know, Paul, do you have Maximum Achievement? Is it a good book?
Your mic, Paul.
I think it's the best single book on success ever written.
Great. One of your biggest fans in Algeria, Brian, her name is Camelia, and she says, I deeply think that in the near future, corporations will reduce the amount of full-time employees, but part-time, consultant and providers of services, and keep core business in hands of very fresh and motivated people. Any comments on that? Do you agree?
The most important principle is that people want to achieve the very most results at the very lowest cost. And they will organize people and resources to achieve the very most for the very least. And if they can achieve the very most profits by reducing their workforces or changing the workforce, they will do it. If they can achieve the very highest profits by hiring more people, like Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, they hired 150,000 new people. That's their way, his way of increasing the profits for the business. So every business, every product, every service, every market is different. But the number one aim is results. The goal is always profitability. So whatever they think that they can do to increase profitability, that's what people will do.
Thank you. Brian, you know that Algeria Startup Challenge is a program about finding the best startups in Algeria and promote, accompany them. You know that during this special period of pandemic, we had to adapt to the lockdown and to this Ramadan, hence these webinars. On behalf of all our Algerian viewers, I would like to thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge and experience. We're blessed to have you with us tonight, and let me tell you, as soon as this pandemic is gone, you are most welcome to come visit Algeria, and you'll be our special guest. So any word, anything for our young people and youth in Algeria?
Well, I will just say this, is that even though we have the pandemic, we are still living in the very best time of all of human history. There are more opportunities and possibilities for each person than have ever existed before in the history of man. And we're going through a period where it's down, it's going to come back up again, and the future is going to be far better than the past. And whatever you have achieved up to now, your future is only limited by your own imagination, by your own vision of yourself and what is possible. And there are no limits except the limits you place on your own mind, which means that there are no limits at all.
Exactly. Thank you. Brian, I was really blessed to share these valuable moments with you. And thank Andrew Phillips for his huge efforts. And I would like Dr. Hamid Bakri. Thank you very much, Brian, and thanks to our audience tonight. They were really, we had a lot of views, and they are all happy having you. Thank you very much, and see you soon, hopefully. Healthy. Thank you. Je remercie.
And shukran.
Shukran. Merci, chers spectateurs, pour votre engagement et confiance. Et à la prochaine avec un autre webinaire. Sahratech et au revoir.